Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop, and today we're making a blade holder for my 46 irons. There's only 4 of them though. Let's dive in. So this is a Stanley number 46, and it is a really cool plane. It's a combination plane, but the irons are all weird angles, and they're a lot of fun. Now, I have wanted one of these for a long time, and I finally was able to get one, but I wasn't able to get the cutters, and the cutters cost 4 or 5 times more than this. And a friend on Patreon actually had a few extras, and he sent me these as a gift, and I am in love with them, but that means I need a way to store them now. So we're going to make a storage box, much like we have for the 45s, but for the 46. I'm going to be making this out of maple, both curly maple and curly torrefied maple. And I first need to actually make the pieces that go around. So I'm finding out at what angle do these want to sit at, and I can set my bevel gauge to that, and I can cut that down. And this one piece will be the angle for both ends. So one angle needs to be angled to the right, and the other one also needs to be angled to the right, but it's the positive and negative. So we're making these little triangles that will go on either end of the box. Right now we're making all of these spacers. For the one that needs to go at the top and bottom, those are just going to be about a ½ inch wide. This piece that I'm working with is ever so slightly thicker than the thickness of the iron, which is right about what you want. The original 45s and 55s were significantly thicker, and they kind of bounce around in there, and I want them to be a little bit tighter for the 46s because they tend to lean over. For the actual front and back, we're going to be using this torrefied curly maple. So I need to joint one edge that I know is true that I can measure everything else off of. So this whole case will end up being kind of a sandwich with the torrefied curly maple on the outside and the non-torrefied white curly maple as the inside gooey filling. And once I figure out exactly how long and how big this needs to be, then we can mark those out. And I want to mark the length first, and then I can come in with the marking gauge and mark the height of the box. For the length, I want it to be the same length as the 45 and 55 boxes. But for the height, it's actually going to be a little shorter because the irons aren't standing straight up. They're at an angle, and so it comes down a little bit. So we can cut these down to whatever that length is. I have no idea what that measurement is. I never measured it. I just set things out and marks them and cut to that. So for the height of the box, it is the irons at their appropriate angle, plus the thickness of the top and bottom plate, and then a little bit more wiggle room. To attach all this on, I'm going to use some epoxy. I like this because I don't have to have a decent amount of clamping pressure, and for something like this, it makes it very, very easy to get everything in alignment because you have a lot of working time with the epoxy, and you can actually specify what you want. To actually lock it down, I'm going to use a dab of super glue on either end and then kind of put it in place, and that stops them from sliding around so that they set in place. The dab of super glue just makes it so they don't move. And then the epoxy is what will actually hold them over the long term. I'm going to start by putting the strips at the bottom and then put these end blocks that have the right taper on them, lock those into place, and then hit the super glue with those that they hold in, and then we'll put a strip along the top. You'll notice my strips actually don't go the full length. I didn't have enough that it was the right length of that thickness, so I just scabbed them together with some smaller pieces. And once you plane it afterwards, everything is good. You'll notice how all these boards are kind of sticking over the edge, and the outside is ragged, and that's not a problem at all because once these are done, then we can clean them and smooth them down. You can never have enough clamps, especially spring clamps. I find I'm using them all the time, and for little things like this, they are invaluable, and I have a lot of them, and I still have quite a few times where all of them are in use. Once it has cured, we can come back and start working down the sides. We're going to just bring everything down until it's smooth and true. There doesn't have to be any particular measurement you're hitting. Just bring it to what feels good. I'm going to chamfer the outside corners. On the original 45s and 55s, they weren't chamfered at all, and I really like the look and feel of that light chamfer on there. So we can trim up one side, chamfers its edges, then trim up the other side and chamfer its edges. For the ends, though, I'm going to take it over the shooting board and shoot it. It makes it so much easier to clean those all up, but then I'm going to still come back in with the block plane and chamfer those. I love the end grain with a file. Just hitting it with a file gives you a really nice clean surface, and it allows the oil absorption to be very similar to what it would be on the face, so you get a similar color with it. Now the problem is I need to get irons into this, and there is no top to the case. So I'm going to mark down 1 inch and then make a mark on here all the way around the board, and we're going to cut it apart so that we can then have a top and a bottom. Marking all the way around, then I realized, wait a second, before I could take this apart, I want to actually do some carving into it, because I want it to be slightly solid as I'm carving into it. If I cut the top off, then it's going to be kind of sandwichy, smushy in the middle. So I went over and printed out 46 and put that on a piece of paper, and then came in with a V-tool. And with this pattern, I really like the look of it, in that the thin lines can just be 1 string running from one end to the other. And these fat lines then are 2 strings running in parallel. And then on the 6 where they curve, it ends up being 1 string at the ends and then being 2 strings. And I really like the look and the aesthetic of this simple little thing, except for with the 4, I shouldn't have had that line cross all the way through. Oops, oh well, you learn, and next time you do it a little differently. But I like doing little simple pieces of carving like this, just make everything very, very nice. Now, before actually doing the finishing, we're going to do some scraping and then sanding, and so I like the using the glue stick method, because then I can just scrape it off and get a nice clean surface. It's the next thing I'm going to do, and especially with this curly maple, scraping is definitely the way to go. I'm going to be using my brand new Bad Axe ripping saw that is very, very happy, and I can use this to cut all the way down. I'm going to cut halfway, flip it around, and then cut the other halfway and get a nice clean surface here. Then we can just come in and clean up the joint in between. I'm going to use a block plane to just touch the corners. I'm not going to really chamfer them over. I just want to break the edges and clean them all up, make sure that everything feels good between the two. And now, happy time. Oh yes, homemade boiled linseed oil, and I love what it does to this torrefied maple. It just makes it pop. And I'm going to put this on, let it soak up as much as it wants. This torrefied stuff just really soaks it up, and I got to add more and add more and add more. I'm going to do that for about 15 minutes until it stops taking up any more. Then wipe off the excess and apply the paste wax. And really quick and easy setup. It takes almost no time, but you can just watch how it absorbs into the wood. And I am really, really happy with how this came out. A great project, and I'm looking forward to using it for many times to come. Happy. So you have it, a blade holder for my 46 irons. And I actually bought a 46 a while ago. It didn't have any irons, and I thought, oh, that'd be great. I'll just go buy more irons. But unfortunately, you really can't find them much of anywhere. And they're very expensive when you do. And so I actually, a friend of the channel has a few extra, and as a Christmas gift, he sent me these. And so I wanted to make a case for them. Now, if you've ever seen the 45 and 55, they come in these. I really like that, but I thought, you know what, I want something a little more special, and so I did this one with the carving into it, and I really like how it came out with the torrefied maple, and it all slides together, and now I've got one more to add to the set, and it's a little shorter because all the irons are at an angle, and I really, really like how this came out. It is, yeah, this one, every now and then a project is really, I mean, most projects are really happy, but this one takes the cake. This one's really, really happy. So now I need to find a few more irons to fully fill this one out, and I'm really looking forward to using it and having some fun with my 46. I'm probably going to do a video on the 46 itself here soon, so stay tuned for that. But I hope you like this. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, or just want to say comment down below, as a lot of people like to say comment down below for some reason, thank you. That helps out the channel. Anytime you do comment down below, it helps us get in front of more people, helps the channel grow, and really means a lot. So if you want to find out more about that, you know what to do down there. But wait, you can take it one step farther, and you can go and be an amazing person and join these names over here. Those are some of the patrons on Patreon. And between patrons and members, people have clicked the little join button down there. Thank you. You guys keep us going. You are the ones who fund this channel, and without you guys, we wouldn't be here. You keep the lights on. You allow me to do projects like this. So thank you for that. If you'd like to help out and keep the channel going, then think about becoming a patron on Patreon. We do have a few extra special perks for both patrons and members. I think they'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. So for those of you who don't know, I do a lot of running, and I've often thought that if I took these and I went for a run, I would be a blade runner.